What a day. On and off, on and off. Do a little here, do a little there, and we have come to the conclusion that this was worth the work. Whew. Dusty. So we've got a flap, and the flap, this particular flap, I didn't have the GoPro charged, forgot to charge it last night. Anyway, so you got a little bit of time lapse to see what I was working on. This particular flap was pretty rough. I had to replace a couple of spots. The hinges were just, for lack of a better term, they were put in with pins, and the only way to get the hinges out was to break them out. So I replaced some wood there. So let me turn the camera around and show you what's going on. So we have, again, the flap, replaced a little piece of wood here, just because it broke out as I was pulling it out. And then there was some pretty serious epoxy and garbage going on here with this one. So I decided just to cut it out, replace it with some more balsa and sand it to shape. And both flaps did not have cap strips on the bottom, and that may have been called for by the original kit or plans. That's fine, but I like that little detail, so I wanted to perpetuate that on the bottom. I know nobody's really going to see it that much, but I'll know, and I'm kind of picky that way. So then on top of that, we've got this aileron. Interesting about the ailerons, the hinges I was able to get free, and then, you know, there's this random piece of aircraft ply and balsa sandwiched together here for where the control horn was. Obviously not going to use that same spot for the control horn, but rather than try to get it out of there with all that epoxy, I just decided to leave it so I didn't break anything. That looks stock. That does not. Decided to leave that because I kind of don't care. And again, the ailerons, you know, some of the cap strips were there and some weren't there, which is why I kind of thought that there should be cap strips on the bottom of the flaps. So, other thing that I thought was interesting, when I pulled the ailerons off, it's almost like this person prior to me or whoever built it had a flutter issue. There was a piece of covering that went from the trailing edge, and then there was a piece that lipped down into the gap and then came up and then was ironed onto the aileron. I don't know if it was like an aerodynamic thing or because of flutter or what, but what I thought was interesting when I held it up to the wing, let's see if I can real quick here, I'll just rotate the wing around and show you. When you hold the wing, originally there was not any meat taken away for the hinges to pivot. So it would stick out the length of the pin on the hinges. So it would stick out just that little bit for the hinges, and that's all the amount of pivot that you got. There was no beveling of the leading edge of the ailerons. So I went ahead and did that. Had to use my plane 3D printed, but you can also get those from, I think Dubro makes them. But yeah, mine's 3D printed, made out of ABS. Uses a little razor. It's perfect. And then from there, again, some of these strips needed to be re-tacked down. The trailing edge was not very well shaped. It wasn't a straight bevel. It was more rounded. So I went ahead and shaped those a little better. Moving on to the wing. There was it was this one. There was a cap strip on the bottom that was entirely missing, did not exist. So I replaced that. And then a couple of things here and there, like added this little piece of balsa here just to have a little bit of meat for these two to join up to and hold on. And then a lot of these cap strips were just loose. So I used a little bit of CA and tacked them on. The epoxy here doesn't really interfere with anything. The other wing, one of the tubes was a little bit loose, but it looked like the wing had been dropped onto the tube a little bit and broke a couple of the ribs. Got that fixed up. Again, blending. A lot of blending issues. These cap strips were not blended very well into this sheeting, as well as the blending into the leading edge cap. So did a lot of blending there, especially on the top. The bottom wasn't nearly as bad on this panel, but it looks much, 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 much better. So here are the completed wings, and completed wings look really good. I was able to get all of the hodgepodge of stuff holding the servos into all the servo bays, be able to break it out. I usually try to break it out slowly with like a pair of needle nose. If you go slowly, because usually the balsa is either really brittle or it's kind of spongy. So with that, you can take a needle nose pliers and just sort of gently break it out, even though some of it was held on with epoxy. And then you do a little bit of trimming with a razor blade, and then it comes right out. All right, tomorrow is going to be a little bit of a tutorial. We're going to do a little tutorial on how to use Orthopedic, and I will make sure to charge my GoPro. And I'm going to try to clean up a little bit in here. It is quite dusty from all of this shaping and all this stuff. So thanks so much for watching, guys. We're going to keep going on this beautiful flying work of art, and we're going to make it fantastic for Patrick.